Hello again, it's Noob, and today we get to look at a new version of the double-sided, that's Dimple and Standard, cutout Euro practice cylinder by Multipick. And for full disclosure, Multipick did send me this for the purposes of this review to keep. All thoughts of my own, it's not a paid review. I have worked with Multipick in the past and I may continue to work with them in the future on various designs and stuff like that. Right, those are disclosures out of the way. Let's have a look at this in more detail. You may be thinking though, haven't you done a video on a Dimple cutout and a standard cutout Euro cylinder relatively recently? And I think it was a number of months ago now. But the answer is yes, but there is a subtle difference here in that the cutouts are on the opposing side to the last version. This is what they call the left-handed cutout practice cylinder. And that makes a huge difference for some people. Who are those people? Well, if you are, for example, left-handed, you might want to hold your lock in one hand and pick like this with your left hand, obviously. That to me would be extremely strange because I am a right-handed picker. But if you are left-handed and you'd like to hand hold your Euros like a lot of pickers do, and you're practicing, you may want to have the cutouts on this side so you can see, and that would be the same if you were practicing using the standard sort of profile cylinder, and you can have a look at the cutouts on this side if you're picking on your left hand. Cutouts on locks can be particularly useful when you are starting out learning to pick locks. Why? Well, I personally found these very useful when I first started my picking journey because I was finding getting on top of pins accurately and not getting in between the pins, or thinking I'm on pin 3, I'm actually on pin 4. I found all of that very difficult when I was learning to navigate a different lock. And I was really happy when I got exposed to cutaways because it meant that I could have a pick and then I could have a little peek and go, oh, I'm on the wrong pin, or oh wow, I've overset that one, and start again. It gives me some insight into where I'm going wrong. So that's really useful for when you're starting to pick locks. I mean, yes, you'd want to quickly move on to locks where you couldn't have a peek on the inside and pick a range of locks, of course. But when you're first starting out, cutaway locks like this can be really useful. I also find them useful as a training aid. So when I'm showing people how locks work, what they look like on the inside, how the key pins and the drive pins interact with each other, what a shear line is, I find these types of locks incredibly useful for those purposes as well. Another good use case for a left-handed cutout is for people who like to pick locks in this orientation, that is springs or Bible up with key pins on the bottom. A huge number of locks are actually installed that way around, especially in North America and in the UK. Although Eurocylinders are often orientated the other way around with the springs at the bottom, this nevertheless allows you to learn to lockpick these paracentric keyways and the Dimple locks with the springs facing up as well, and allowing you to view what you're doing through the cutaway window, when you wouldn't be able to do that obviously if the cutaway was on the other side of the lock. So that can be really useful too. Since we have the cutaway, let's have a look at a lock being picked from the cutaway view, which I always think is a nice view. The camera is right in front of the lock, so that's a little bit annoying, and you might see a little bit of camera shake because it's right at the end of its extension here. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of rotation on and trying to find this binding pin. So one was binding there, you might have just seen. Going back through, testing each one in turn. I think now 4 might be binding, yep. And go through, back to 1 because it was, I just dropped it. I think we accidentally set 3. Just going through there. Oh no, that was 4. These are little T-pins. I think 5's binding now. So let's reach up on that one and just gently nudge it, and we're good. I think I feel 6 binding now, so just move under 6. Again, just gently nudge it up until, oh, it got into a full set. Now I've got to find a pin which is not set. It might be 2. And a bit of counter rotation on that. You might see the cam move forwards. There we go. Let's try 3, feels fine. 4, and we are open. in this set, you don't just get the cylinder with its 2 different keyway profiles. You also get the keys to match, and these are for its current configuration. So put those in. You can see that the pins are lifted to their shear line, and in here we've got spools and little T-pins and some standard pins at the back on that side. And then this side, if I just move the key, you have the Dimple cylinder side, and here's the key set up for this particular configuration here. And again, you can see that all the pins are lifted to their shear line, and I always like to look at that. It's really nice. Obviously, if you do change the bitting, which you can do in this lock, because we have little grub screws at the top and a little box of pins, those keys will not necessarily work unless you are pinning this up to maybe take out a couple of pins at the back to practice as a 4-pin lock instead of a 6-pin lock, in which case the keys will still work. But if you change the key pins around to have a different bitting, the keys won't work unless you make yourself a key. Yes, it does come with a little hex key as well to undo these little grub screws, so you can undo these and change the pinning inside. And it comes with the screw which goes in here. This would normally go into the door frame to allow you to fix this lock into a door, but some people make like a practice door or a jig where they like to screw in their Euros or display them. So this screw will allow you to make a display or a practice rig or whatever it is that you wish. So that's why they include one of these in the kit. It also comes with a little set of pinning tweezers, which is really nice. And these are real pinning tweezers. They got that little cutout on the end for holding the pins. And here are a whole load of different security and standard pins, spare grub screws and spare springs, which is really nice. If we get those pinning tweezers, and you can see how they grip onto the pins. See? You see we've got some standard key pins here, different lengths, which is really nice. Some short ones, some long ones. You've got spare grub screws. You've got hollow pins that go along with these little T-pins, so you can have like a also like a little pin-in-pin configuration here for a driver pin, a split pin, I think you want to call it. Put that in there. There you go. And that's how that would look. You've got things like little T-pins here. You have, what else do we have? Some spool pins. This one is steel one. You've got serrated pins. These are driver pins, of course. So some really nice security pins here. Some brass spools as well. Spare springs, because at some point, no matter what, we all know we're going to mess up a spring. Take our eye off the ball for a minute, and it's nice to have some spare ones. It's a really nice range of your standard key pins and a load of security driver pins. Before I move on to conclusions, I'd really like to pick the Dimple lock side of this lock. One advantage, if you like to pick pins down, is that with the cutout on the left hand side, you can use this just as a easily repinnable practice lock, putting it in a vise on either side, and you can't see into the pin chambers. If the cutouts are on this side, then obviously you'll be able to see into it. So there's so many different uses for a left-handed cutaway lock like this, depending on how you like to pick and the position you like to have this in and all those other things. So what I'd like to do is have a go at picking this. Just going to pop in a turning tool. I can't see the pins on this side, it's facing away from me. I'm just going to pop in that turning tool. Here's a Dimple flag. I'm just going to go in and see what's going on. So nothing on 2 there, I think. Maybe a little click. Nothing on 3. Nothing on 4. 5's binding quite heavily. Little click. 6 now. Little click. Back through. 4's now binding. And into a bit of a false set. Back through. I think pin 1 is now binding. So I just want to get gently on top of that. Light tension, little click. This is not necessarily a super easy lock to pick. It's a well-made lock, so expect a small modicum of challenge, and that's pin 4, and we are open. So yeah, it's quite nice to have a challenging lock, and you can make it even harder with different pinning configurations, obviously. So conclusions. Where do I go with this? Well, I mean, to start with, this is a multi-pick set, so it's going to have that classic multi-pick quality and feel. All the materials are really nice. The packaging, I mean, it's not about the packaging really, is it? But it is really nicely presented, and everything you want is included, including some pretty nifty little pinning tweezers, which is always appreciated. It's in such a nice set. It's actually something which would probably make quite a nice gift for somebody who's getting into lock picking. So yeah, the cutouts on this are all very sharp and open and easy to see what's inside. Even on camera with this lighting, it's very easy to see what's going on inside here. I mean, it's just really nice to sort of feel and to look at. And I really like the fact that you've got two different styles of keyway. I don't know anybody else currently, maybe I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't know anybody else who's making a double sort of sided Euro cylinder with a dimple lock on one side and a standard profile on the other side. It's just really nice. And I think another good thing about this is that the range of security pins that you get in this little box of pins and spares is really nice. Serrations, T-pins, spools, those two-part pins. Just really nice to see such a big range. And again, I don't know anybody who's doing quite that range of security pins in one of their cutout sets. So it's a really good, clean and well presented option. Now, this isn't necessarily the cheapest lock out there. You do tend to get what you pay for, however. At the website I'm looking at right now, and this will change on the day you watch this, because this is only at the time I'm filming, and the exchange rates change all the time, all that kind of stuff. You know that. But there's a limited offer on this currently at, I think, €79.90, which is £68.71, or $89 and 49 cents, all thereabouts. All caveats apply. So, and that is the whole set, and I think that might be an introductory price. Also, I think that this video is going to go out sometime around Black Friday, so it's very likely that Multipick may have some Black Friday deals as well. I don't know for sure. Definitely worth checking that out if you're interested in one of these locks. I really think that it's nice to have the option of a left-handed cutaway. If you've never got on with the right-handed cutaways and want to explore a left-handed cutaway, finding a lock with a left-handed cutaway might really be the thing that you're looking for. So are there any negatives? Well, I mean, as far as this item is concerned, I can't really see any. It does everything it purports to do very well. It looks nice, it's made nice, it's got two keyway profiles, loads of great pinning options. A nice presentation. I mean, it does everything that it says it does, and it does it really well. The only negative I can think of is really a comment in general about these cutaway practice locks, and that is you will want to move on to non-cutaway locks or real locks, at some point if you have started your picking journey with something like this as a practice and visual aid, which it's very good at being, just because the cutaways themselves do make the lock, I guess, act a little differently, especially when you're picking into the cutaways, than a standard lock. Not a huge difference, but there is a small difference. And the other thing is, of course, is whilst you have two different configurations, a dimple lock and a standard profile lock, what you're not having is different keyways with different wardings, which make a huge difference in your picking. So this is, again, going to be a great lock if you just want to carry one around, or you don't have millions of locks just for practicing on. It's going to be a really useful aid. Keeps things nice and small. I can't imagine how many actual pinning configurations you can get out of this. Hundreds, thousands probably of different configurations you can put into these on both sides. I can't imagine how much fun you could have with one of these if you were just starting out. But yeah, as always with these cutaways, as good as they are, you will want to move on to other locks at some point for sure. Anyway, that's my conclusions on this left-handed cutaway practice lock. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. I do read them all and reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed and want to see more content like this, please do subscribe. and I'll see you all next time.